Good evening, I'm 14 First Alert meteorologist Arden Gregory. That's a live look at the Twin Bridges. It's dark out now. Traffic still moving along okay, though. I know a lot of folks were crossing the bridges earlier this evening for the WC Handy Blues and Barbecue Festival that was going on tonight. It continues into the weekend if you missed out so far. Tomorrow, for many folks, this is a 3-day weekend. Tomorrow is a federal holiday, Juneteenth. We'll have a mix of sun and clouds. Warm, but not humid, not hot. Overall, pretty comfortable out there tomorrow. We start to get more of that sticky summertime feeling as we get into Saturday. Then on Sunday, Father's Day, a cold front's going to start to move into the tri-state, and that does bring us a good chance of rain, maybe even some thunderstorms and some heavy rain. So we'll take a closer look at that in just a moment. First, I want to talk about last night because we kind of dodged a bullet last night, and actually, these are now not showing up. I guess maybe now that it's 9 p.m., I guess maybe they're now more than 24 hours old. About 24 hours ago, they were having severe weather just to our north, and there were several reports of tornadoes just to the north of the tri-state. Some really crazy video of tornadoes coming out of places like Effingham, Illinois. And then you can see these are all damaging wind reports then that stretch across several states. And the tri-state was kind of sitting just south of most of that. We had a couple reports of some wind damage, but really for what was a severe weather outbreak for several states, especially just to our north, the tri-state really kind of dodged a bullet last night, and our storms ended up not being that bad. But we did have some thunderstorms, even some severe ones, very, very late last night into early this morning. Most of the thunderstorm activity was closer to 3 or 4 a.m. this morning. Then that rain just kind of hung out across western Kentucky. You can see that line of severe storms moves down, but then the rain just kind of gets hung up in western Kentucky. And so for some of you, the rain just kept on coming even into this afternoon and evening. That rain has since finally pushed off, and we are dry across the entire tri-state now and should stay that way through the rest of tonight and into tomorrow as well. As for our temperatures, we topped out in the 80s earlier this afternoon, in most locations anyway. Parts of western Kentucky where that rain kept going on into the afternoon. Some of you never made it out of the 70s, but most of us topped out somewhere in the 80s today. Now that the sun has set, though, our temperatures are starting to drop, seeing some mid to upper 60s north of I-64. Then as you head farther south, most of us sitting in the low 70s right now. It's currently 71 in Evansville, 73 in Owensboro. As we continue through the night, the clouds will keep breaking up, and it will be a little cooler tonight. Last night was pretty mild and kind of muggy. We only made it into the 70s. Overnight tonight, we're going to dip into the low 60s, so it will be a little cooler out there tonight. And then tomorrow, Juneteenth, like I said, it is a federal holiday. A lot of folks are going to have the day off, and it looks like we have pretty good weather for any kind of Juneteenth observations or celebrations that are going on. Kind of a mix of sun and clouds. I think it'll be mostly sunny, but it's not going to be clear blue, right? We're going to have some clouds in the mix too, but lots of sunshine still breaking through. A nice cool breeze coming from the northwest. It won't be much, a very gentle breeze coming from the northwest. Temperatures warm but not hot, topping out in the low to mid 80s tomorrow afternoon. Humidity should be very tolerable. All in all, a beautiful day, and a day that a lot of people will be able to get out and enjoy because it is a holiday. As we get into Saturday, it gets a little hotter and a little more humid, but really it's just getting more seasonable. We're far enough into June now that that's the kind of weather we're expecting. Our highs should be up into the mid to even upper 80s. It should be kind of sticky and humid out there. So Saturday is going to be more typical summertime weather. Then Father's Day. Notice the rain chances start to pick up. We've got these little thunderstorm icons on Sunday and Monday. And the cold front bringing us that storms also cools us down a bit. We're going to be running slightly below average for much of next week, with highs only reaching the low 80s. Checking in on the comments here before we talk about those storm chances. Good evening, Ricky, Suzanne, Ann, Cheyenne, William, and Libby. Yeah, Suzanne says they got 2 inches of rain in Morganfield. Again, one of those areas where they did get some heavy rain and thunderstorms, but then even into the afternoon, the rain just didn't seem to move on, right? It just kind of got hung up there. And William, meanwhile, says got only 0.22 inches of rain today there. And good evening, Laura Gray in Dawson Springs, joining us after wrapping up VBS there. A lot of churches having VBS this week. Let's talk a little bit more about those rain chances. There's a very isolated chance of a stray shower on Saturday. I really think most of us are probably going to stay dry on Saturday, but a stray shower certainly can't be ruled out. Most of us will stay dry, though, through Saturday and even into Sunday morning. Now, Sunday morning, we're going to have this warm front moving through, warmer, more humid air flowing in from the south. It may be kind of sticky and humid out there. You're going to be able to feel that things are kind of primed for those storms to then roll in. Then as this low pressure system comes in from the west, our rain chances really start to kick up Sunday afternoon and evening. Now, we're still a few days out, still working on the exact timing, but scattered showers and maybe even a few thunderstorms start to kick up Sunday afternoon. And then it looks like our best chance of rain and possibly some heavy rain and thunderstorms will be overnight Sunday night into Monday morning. That's when this cold front will actually pass through the tri-state. So along that cold front is our best chance of heavy rain and thunderstorms, maybe even an isolated strong to severe storm, although I don't see a widespread severe weather threat. Then as that front pushes off to the southeast, the rain goes with it. We start to clear things out Monday evening, and by Tuesday, it looks mostly dry. This could be a good soaking rainfall for our entire region, though. When you look at rainfall totals forecast here for Sunday into Monday, notice the whole tri-state in either this kind of bright blue or into these purple to even pink shades here. So that would put us at about 1 inch to 1.5 inches on the low end. On the upper end, you could be talking about 2 to 2.5 inches of rain. So I'd say 1 to 2 inches of rain is a solid bet for most of the tri-state Sunday into Monday, but an isolated total slightly higher than that can't be ruled out if you do get a thunderstorm with a heavy downpour in it. So that's something we'll be monitoring. It looks like this is going to be widespread soaking rain. We might have to monitor for the potential for some flooding. I wouldn't rule out an isolated stronger storm with maybe some damaging wind gusts or some small hail. But again, not seeing a widespread severe weather threat at this point. After that cold front moves through, our temperatures do drop a little bit. We'll be looking at highs in the lower 80s then for most of next week. So far, the month of June has been pretty typical temperature-wise. We had that little heat wave middle of last week where we had 3 days in a row in the 90s. This past Monday, we only made it into the upper 70s, but most days we've been topping out in the 80s, which is what you would expect for the month of June. I always step on this microphone cord. Okay, as for rain, we've actually had several days where we've had some decent beneficial rain. That's a nice change of pace. We had an unusually warm and very dry spring, which set us up into this drought already in the spring. Typically, we kind of creep our way into drought toward the end of the summer and into the fall, right? Things kind of dry out. Springtime is when we're more typically talking about flooding. So this was very odd that we were in drought in the spring months and just couldn't seem to get any rain. So we're correcting that a little bit now. We had a very unsettled weather pattern at the end of May, and that has kind of carried over a little bit as we've had several chances for some rain then so far in the month of June. This morning when those storms rolled through, we picked up 0.44 inches of rain at the Evansville Regional Airport. That does bring us up to about 1 3/4 inch for the month. That's still short of where we should be for the month, but it is an improvement. And we are still running 7.5 inches short on rainfall for the year because, again, as I said, we had a very dry spring. Most of the months so far this year, and we're about halfway through now, have been below average on their precipitation. But the recent rain has helped quite a bit with the drought. I mentioned before, we were kind of unusually in a pretty serious drought as we got into this spring. Parts of western Kentucky were even up into extreme drought earlier this year. But as we've gotten a little rain week by week as we've gone through the month of June, we've seen things beginning to improve. We still have a small pocket here in Davis, Ohio, and McLean counties that is considered to be in moderate drought. Much of the tri-state is removed from any kind of drought monitor category at all. Then parts of southeast Illinois and the rest of western Kentucky largely in what would be considered abnormally dry conditions. So it's dry, but doesn't quite qualify has drought just yet. The point is, though, even though it's still a little drier than you would expect, we have seen improvement across the board. The drought has really kind of broken up some now. I want to talk about the extended outlook beyond just the next 7 days, because this is the next 7 days. We talked about that, right? Kind of heating up as we get into the start of this weekend. Cold front brings us rain and thunderstorm chances Sunday into Monday. And then behind that, I'm struggling tonight, folks. I'm tripping over everything that we've got back behind this desk here. Beyond that cold front, then our temperatures remain slightly below average. Normal for this time of year would be mid to maybe upper 80s. Instead, we'll be looking at highs in the lower 80s for most of this week. Now, looking beyond that, the extended outlook through next weekend does show a trend toward slightly above average temperatures. So while we are going to be running a little below average for most of next week, by the end of the week we may start to trend back up into the upper 80s, maybe even get another low 90 in here. But we're also outlooked for above average precipitation, and specifically when you look at the hazards outlook, the tri-state is on kind of the southeastern edge of a large section of the country. It covers several states that are all outlooked for the potential, the possibility for some heavy rain Friday, June 26th through Sunday, June 28th. So that would be next weekend, right? Not this upcoming weekend, but the weekend after that. So that is something that we will be monitoring, because as of right now, kind of the one big thing we're tracking is the rain chances Father's Day into Monday, right? I mentioned that chance of maybe a stray shower on Saturday, but really this is kind of the next big thing. We've got that cold front bringing us rain starting on Sunday, probably Sunday afternoon, continuing overnight Sunday night, and then lingering into at least the first half of the day Monday. So we've got a good chunk here where we've got widespread rain, soaking rain, maybe even some heavy rain and some thunderstorms in the mix there. So that's kind of the next big thing. Beyond that, the rain chances largely taper off, but notice by Thursday, there's just this very isolated chance of rain. I think those rain chances will start to pick up more Thursday night into next Friday, and then as I just showed you, we will be monitoring for the possibility that next weekend we could maybe be tracking another system that could potentially bring some heavy rain and thunderstorms to the tri-state and many areas to the northwest of us as well. Good evening, Jeanette and Doug. Doug is asking, is next week going to be any drier? Not Sunday and Monday. As I just told you, we do have that good chance of rain on Father's Day that does carry over into Monday. Beyond that, it looks dry, mainly dry through the middle of next week. So like Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, we may have more rain by next weekend though. So middle of the week does look drier, and the next couple of days are pretty dry. Tomorrow, Juneteenth, it looks like we're going to have beautiful weather. Saturday, a little warmer, a little more humid, very isolated chance of rain, but I think most of us will be dry on Saturday as well. Sunday into Monday is really the day that you want to maybe factor into outdoor plans and things like that. If you've got something planned outside for Father's Day, Sunday evening, I would maybe consider a backup plan, start thinking about moving things inside, or maybe push it and do it on Saturday instead, something like that, because it does seem like we've got a pretty good chance of rain that day. All right, I'm not seeing any questions in the comments. Carolyn says, rain go away. I know, while we have really seen improvement in our drought, we still need the rain. So I'm not quite rooting against the rain just yet. We're still running a deficit. We're still short on rainfall so far for this month, and certainly short on this year. So I think everybody's gardens could maybe still use a little bit of rain. We're not quite to that point yet, but I know it will interfere with a lot of people's plans on Sunday. And like I said, that rain carries over into Monday as well, which Monday is typically a day I think of as not being really impactful weather. I don't know that people have a lot of outdoor plans on Mondays, but during the summer, that may not be the case. You know, people sometimes take a day off and make plans, go to Holiday World and things like that in the middle of the week where it's maybe less crowded. So any day of the week could be impactful to people's plans. So just know we do have rain and a chance of thunderstorms Sunday into Monday, and that's kind of the next big thing for this week. Good evening, Sergeant from Owensboro. Appreciate you tuning in. I'm not seeing any other questions in the comments, so I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. I'll have another look at your forecast on 14 News tonight at 10, and then Byron Douglas picks up coverage tomorrow morning on 14 News Sunrise, so I hope you'll join us then. And if you're headed to bed after this, have a good night and enjoy the holiday. Tomorrow it looks like we'll have good weather for it. Maybe consider changing plans if you've got something planned outside for Father's Day, especially Sunday afternoon or Sunday evening. Looks like we've got a pretty good chance of rain that's going to stick with us then through Sunday night and into Monday morning. We may even get some heavy rain and some thunderstorms, so just be aware of that. And with that, I'll wrap it up and hope you guys all have a good night.